to protect those during this winter, most of all the most vulnerable.
Kenny MacAskill.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. A parliamentary answer on Tuesday disclosed that around 66,000 households in Scotland and 660,000 across Britain had self-disconnected from smart meters in Q3 of last year. Self-disconnection is that euphemism for being simply unable to afford to heat or power your home. It's as pernicious as the phrase collateral damage is in war. These afflicted by self-disconnection and all its misery are also civilians, but we are at peace, not war. These figures are for a quarter before prices rose and temperatures dropped. They're also only the tip of the iceberg, as the numbers are far greater, as these figures do not cover those on legacy prepayment meters. The numbers of which are substantial, almost 2 million in the UK and 300,000 in Scotland. They apply to those who operate before smart meters were brought in. They will substantially increase the numbers already so tragically afflicted. In an energy-rich country, fuel poverty is an obscenity. Given this heartless cruelty in cold winter, will the Minister now, firstly, forthwith end the forced installation of prepayment meters? Secondly, immediately abolish the perverse higher standing charges and tariffs for prepayment meters? And thirdly, as a matter of urgency, bring in a social tariff for the poorest and most vulnerable?
I thank the honourable gentleman for his question. He raises the issue quite rightly of those who are self-disconnecting and that situation. Well, I think we can be proud of the fact that I think the numbers of people who were physically disconnected from power and heat last year were literally in single figures. So the installation of the prepayment meters has to be an absolute last resort. But what we must, and we can be proud of and must insist that we don't have, is a situation where people end up being physically disconnected from an energy supply. All suppliers are required to offer emergency credit when the meter runs out. And it's an important point to highlight, which should give consumers enough time to top up their meter. Traditional meters, which you referred to, have an automatic setting that allows for a set amount of emergency credit to be used after the customer is notified that the topped-up credit has been used. As I've said, Mr Deputy Speaker, we are absolutely committed to having the right regime in place. In 2009, there were issues then around the costs, the additional costs of prepayment meters, and at that time Ofgem, then as now, who have the responsibility for supervising this, looked into that, and at that time they brought in a regime to make sure that any costs and charges had to be commensurate with the actual costs of delivery, though to a certain extent that has all been superseded by the energy price cap brought in by this government, which limits the amount that anyone can charge anyone for their energy.
Sir James Duddridge.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker.